show you my countryside through these old headlights. We can take this road as far as you want to go. I'll show you how a country mile can take us all night. Feeling high in a full tail up an old dirt road. I ain't gonna run no hide. We can let the fire burn wild. That's just my countryside. Let me show you my countryside through these old headlights. We can take this road as far as you want to go. I'll show you how a country mile can take us all night. Feeling high in a bull's tail up an old dirt road. I ain't gonna run no hide. We can let the fire burn wild. That's just my countryside. Let me show you my countryside through these old headlights. We can take this road as far as you want to go. I'll show you how a country mile can take us all night. Feeling high in a bull's tail up an old dirt road. I ain't gonna run no hide. We can let the fire burn wild. That's just my countryside. Let me show you my countryside through these old headlights. We can take this road as far as you want to go. I'll show you how a country mile can take us all night. Feeling high in a bull's tail up an old dirt road. I ain't gonna run no hide. We can let the fire burn wild. That's just my countryside. Let me show you my countryside through these old headlights. We can take this road as far as you want to go. I'll show you how a country mile can take us all night. Feeling high in a bull's tail up an old dirt road. I ain't gonna run no hide. We can let the fire burn wild. That's just my countryside. Let me show you my countryside through these old headlights. We can take this road as far as you want to go. I'll show you how a country mile can take us all night. Feeling high in a bull's tail up an old dirt road. I ain't gonna run no hide. We can let the fire burn wild. That's just my countryside.
Well, welcome. We're waiting on Mike to get in here on us. He's running a little late from work, so we're just waiting on everybody to get in here and kick this thing off and see what everybody's got to bring to the table tonight. Hope everybody's having a good week. The weekend here in Georgia is supposed to rain tomorrow afternoon. Then Saturday and Sunday is supposed to be pretty good here. How's everybody's fishing going? What's up, Tim? Welcome to the show, Tim. Mike said he's about 3 minutes out. So got held up at work. We'll get this thing started. So tonight's program, we just getting everybody in here and get everybody on the chat. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me real good. So while we're waiting on Mike, I'm going to show you some things. If y'all don't have ollies in your, does anybody have ollies in their sound? If y'all do, they have some of the coolest things that you can pick up there in the fishing section. Some 13 fishing swim baits. I think these are, heck, I can't even read. And I think these are 1.25s. And then the bigger ones in the shad color. I thought that was pretty cool. I think they're like $4.99 a piece, or for a pack of them. And then picked up me a Bagley's jerk bait. I think this goes to 20 foot. This jerk bait does. And then I got a Digger 4.5 by Berkeley, like a crawl color. So, yeah, Tim, you see the logo up in the top corner here? That's Tim's Business, Death Dealer Baits out of Jacksonville, Florida. John, is my camera? My camera ain't blurry on my end. It might just be me focusing on things or something. But what we're going to discuss tonight is pedal versus motorized kayak fishing. You know, the kayak world has evolved into something outrageous now. So Mike's finally backstage. We're going to bring him in on. What's up, Mike?
I'm late. This is the second time I've been late to a podcast in a week and a half.
It's all right, man. It's all good. All good. I was just showing some things I picked up at Ollie's today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, some 13 fishing. Shad color. Yeah.
Are those like sectioned? Is that what those have, like little lines in them to like cutouts on them?
Yeah, they're like rubber. It's like you could fit a rubber band around them.
Okay, yeah, that reminds me of Gambler makes a swim bait that has those little cuts in them. It makes them bend better.
Yeah. Then
cool.
I picked up a jerk bait by Bagley.
Dude, Bagley stuff's pretty solid.
Yeah, they actually have a tournament program that my club's a member of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that the Angler of the Year gets $200 worth of baits.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's cool. Because I've got some Bagley. They're like a deep diver. They're kind of similar to like the Rapalas, like the DT series. I don't know what it was called, but it's like a bigger bodied, but it's a deeper dive in. It almost feels like it's like not balsa, but like the imitation balsa stuff. It has a really good action in the water.
Yeah, so
cool.
We're gonna kick this thing off, Mike. We're gonna pedal versus motorized kayaks tonight.
The great debate.
So, got me a new lid at the fair last night, man.
Nice.
Jimmy Britt, Chrysler Dodge Ram pickup. Even though I don't drive a Dodge, but give a shout out to Jimmy Britt there for giving me a new lid.
I had a Ram for a while.
So, so like I said, we were going to discuss pedal versus motorized kayaks and how the world of kayak fishing has been evolved, not resolved, but evolved.
I don't think it'll ever be resolved, but
like the MLF, right? Have you been reading the stuff on MLF?
Oh yeah,
that's for another rabbit hole, but
yeah.
But yeah, it's the kayak world has evolved in the last 3 years.
Heavily.
And not only that, as far as paddle, pedal, or motorized, but kayak fishing as a whole in the bass industry.
Yep.
So it's just
COVID like created a whole generation of fishermen that didn't exist before, and the kayak was like the economical way of getting into the sport.
Right.
So it blew up.
Yeah, and then the plastic world went to crap in a handbasket during COVID, and kayaks were hard to get. So,
yep.
But you pedal, I motorize.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good debate on what advantages each other has in the pedal category versus the motorized category.
And also to clarify, in my opinion, there's also two classifications of motor, because you've got like the Bixby's and the Torqeedos, and then you've got the XI3s with the spot lock, which is another kind of level 2 of the motor. I'll admit I tried to put a motor on my kayak. I tried it, but the problem is I have an Old Town, and the way they do the rudder, you can't really put like a Torqeedo or anything like that on the back, because the rudder comes from the top and down.
Right.
So I tried actually building a transom mount off of the power pole mount on the back of the Old Town, so it was off to the side. And the idea was I was just going to have the motor be fixed, turn it on and off, and then just use my rudder to steer. The problem is I weigh 315 pounds, and then I'm adding a 60-pound battery, and then I'm adding a 20-pound motor on the side of my kayak, and my kayak kept listing.
Uh-oh.
And I hated it. I could have adjusted it, but as far as like the advantages, in my personal opinion, as someone who's predominantly pedaling, again, there's two sides. Am I tournament fishing or am I fun fishing? If I'm fun fishing, I don't really see a huge advantage for a fun fisherman to catch more fish than a pedal guy, because the pedal guy is just going to pick apart an area, whereas the motor guy is just going to do bass boat style, and he's going to fish somewhere, and then he's going to zoom over and follow that pattern, and then zoom over and follow that pattern. Right. In the tournament world, I think that's where it really comes into play, in my opinion.
Yeah. So when I first got my kayak, I paddled, and I tend to slow myself down when I was paddling, because you couldn't move as fast.
Right.
And now, since I got a motor, which I have a new canoe, which has a bow mount, and I got a 55-pound thrust trolling motor on the front, and you, like you said, I find myself in that bass boat mentality now. Is okay, I'm not marking any fish here. I'll troll for a minute or two. If I mark fish, stop, fish them. If they bite, they bite. If not, you move on.
Yep.
And
it makes running a pattern. So like for tournament fishing, and for those of you who don't necessarily understand the mentality, or even just in general the concept of finding a pattern, the difference is in a pedal drive kayak, if I find a spot, okay, so say it's submergent wood in 8 feet of water, I am going to take a lot more time, if I catch a fish there, to find another section of the lake that has submergent timber with 8 feet of water. Whereas Daniel can go, okay, I've caught fish in 3 different places using this bait on timber and 8 feet of water, hammer down and run up the bank until he finds the next spot that has that, hammer off and start fishing that area. And that's what I mean by bass boat mentality, is when you start to figure out a pattern, you can just ignore the rest of the bank and hammer over to the next spot that has that type of build. And that's the difference, in my opinion, especially for tournament stuff, is people don't realize that lakes actually are a lot smaller than you think, because the bass usually relate to something. They're usually on docks, they're usually on wood, they're in lily pads, there's something about it. And then the other puzzle pieces that you put together throughout the day, they only like black and blue jigs today. Okay, so they're black and blue jigs. I found that out. Now I figured out they're on the third section of the lily pads. And then all of a sudden you can start looking at that lake and go, okay, instead of 1,000 acres, I now have 14 spots that match what this profile is.
You're right.
And that's
And
how
so
you
what,
reduce it down.
so what a lot, Hobie BOS, they don't allow motors.
Nope.
So you have to either paddle or pedal. And they sell out. They sell out their tournaments, every tournament.
Yep.
But look at Bass Nation, a lot of the Bass Nation stuff with Steve-O and all that group is they allow motors. So, and a lot of people switch back and forth fishing the BOS and the BASS stuff. And then you have, you have grassroots people that don't allow pedals, and you have some groups that don't allow motors. So, so it's a win-win solution for everybody. It just depends on how you want to fish, and how much money you want to put into a rig.
So I will say I will never. So my goal, my bucket list goal for next year is I want to upgrade my kayak. So I have an Old Town 106. It's too small. I need like a 12 or 13 foot kayak. I just need it.
Right.
What I really want to do is I want to get a native, like a native Titan. It's kind of what I'm looking at. That has literally the reinforcements on the front for a bow mount, and it has the molding bracket, and it literally has holes and ports for a torpedo on the back. So it's designed for either or. I don't really necessarily care about having spot lock in a kayak. I don't necessarily think I need that for my type of fishing, but being able to, in a tournament, like for example, the last tournament I fished in Massachusetts, the girl that I like to fish with, Chrissy, me and her had talked about it before the tournament, and I was going to fish the northernmost section of the lake. The problem is that's probably a mile from the ramp. So if you guys watch that video, anybody saw that video on my channel, the opening scene of that video is 9 guys in a like flying V heading to that section of the lake. If you've got a motor, all of those guys left me behind because they can go 8 miles an hour without any effort. I'm going 3 miles an hour and I'm winded when I get there.
Right.
So that's where you get the advantage is I could just hammer down right up there. Think about what I'm doing. I could even rig tackle on the way up. Whereas when you're pedaling, you really just got to focus on your pedaling and get up there. So I don't necessarily disparage. Like I'm not going to say a guy with a motor is going to be a guy without a motor every time. That's not really what I'm saying. But what I am saying is if there's a situation where you get all the way to one side of a lake and you figure out that that is not where the fish are, now you've got to go all the way back to find a fish. The guy with the motor is going to be able to get there 20 minutes before you are. If you're trying to beat someone to a spot, maybe you got a lucky spot, the guy with the motor is going to beat you there. And the other thing about the Hobie that's interesting is they let them use them during practice.
Right. Yeah.
They're allowed to practice with the motors. They just have to take them off before the event.
Yeah. So with the setup I got on my new canoe, and I'm not even running lithium on my on my setup. So I can get, with me full gear, full rigged out, I can get about 3.5 miles an hour.
Okay.
Across the lake. Now
you're running just a regular stock. What are you running for a trolling motor?
A 55-pound Haswing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a standard. It's not anything like a specifically.
No.
It's just a trolling motor. It's not like a kayak special model or.
No.
Okay. That's what I was trying to. I was trying to put a Minn Kota Endura on mine. So
the bracket that comes with the Haswing I had to kind of modify it to mount to the new canoe front bow mount that they especially make for that F12.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But
because they actually reinforce that, right? They actually have a plate in there that's designed for motor, right? It's like different plastic or something in there.
It's about, I would say, about that thick. And there's two different plates, because there's a smaller plate that goes on because the new canoe comes to a point.
Yep.
So you have to have that kind of whittled out, so the plate kind of sits. You got one small plate, then you got a big plate, and then you have your motor plate.
Yep.
Yeah. So
to answer on that question, it's going to determine on what you want. So there's certain trolling motors that, so for example, the way Daniel's doing it is probably the economy way of doing it. It's not the high end, super expensive way. A lot of guys will spend. The problem is what he was saying about a lithium battery alone. You're looking at $300.
Right. Yeah. The question is, how expensive is a setup on a motor or kayak? You know, if you look at the XI3, the Motor Guide XI3, which is a kayak trolling motor, they specifically made that for a kayak because it's got a shorter shaft. Then you have the Torqeedo series. Now you got the Newport series.
Yeah, Bigsby makes one.
Yeah, doesn't Bixby makes a set. So it really all depends on how much you want to spend in motor wise.
Yeah. Even the Torqeedo though is like $800.
Yeah, so you can get an XI3 non-spot lock. I think maybe $4,000.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think on the low end, the Torqeedo, you're talking $800-900.
So the thing about the Torqeedo too is, and this is where everything gets technical, Torqeedo has its own battery.
Yeah.
It does not allow any other battery configuration. So if you want more than one battery, or you need something that's going to last a little longer, you got to buy extra batteries from Torqeedo. It is its own custom configured set. You cannot disconnect that. The Newport just runs off a 12-volt, I believe, right?
Yes, I think so.
I think that just has a terminal connector to a regular battery. But yeah, so to kind of answer your question roughly, the cheapest way I could think to do it, if you're looking at just buying something like Daniel bought, you're looking at, I don't know, probably $200-300 for the motor if you buy a cheap like Minn Kota Endura or something like that.
Yeah, so with the new canoes, they have a back that's flat. It's almost like a canoe on on the back. So really, I could have put a tiller with an extension and all that, but then you're talking about, okay, can I lift it up? Like,
there's a lot of configuration.
There's a lot of different things.
Oh, you should have seen the redneck setup I had. I had pulleys and cables, and I could raise and lower mine. I had like a pulley that wrapped around the handle that like when I pulled it, it would tighten around the pin so it would flip. But and that trolling motor is like $110, $120. And then I had a Mighty Max battery, which is like an $80 battery. But that's like, you're gonna have to do a lot of customization, so you're gonna spend a couple $100 in just configuration, because the thing you have to think about with a trolling motor is you have to be able to raise and lower that thing if you get shallow, because you're just gonna start smashing that thing against the rocks if you can't trim and till it. So whereas that's where the Torqeedo and the Newport and all those, they literally just mount where your rudder would normally be on a top rudder kayak. It's just a motor that just flips down. And then a lot of them actually have brackets and everything already built into them. So you can take your existing steering system from your kayak, slide it into that motor, and now you're using your rudder system to turn it. So it's a lot more.
I think John Thomas over at Yak Gadget actually builds a lot of them brackets that you can put your external foot stuff into and all that.
See, that's one of the reasons why I like the natives, is the natives have a kit, like they have it built into the foot. They have foot pedals that you can do that with.
Yeah.
The trolling motor, I will say, to this point, it does create a lot of vibration in the water, and you will spook fish in shallow water.
Right. It
I have
really
had
does.
that.
Yeah. And that's with any type of
Yep.
trolling motor on a bass boat, John boat,
Doesn't matter. My
kayak.
bass boat does the
It's
same thing.
yeah, it's still going to put off that vibration, and it's going to send that little. So I don't want to butcher this name. Loco 16. Yeah.
You're probably closer than I would.
Yeah, he says, I've tried a whole trolling motor thing on my Tarpon 140 and didn't like it. I was catching less fish by just hunting for spots.
Yep.
Versus fishing and enjoying the trip. Yeah.
You know what's funny is when I bought a bass boat. So when I had my kayak, I used to pick on bass boat guys. I used to be like, look at this freaking fool. He'd come in, drop his trolling motor, cast 4 times, pick his trolling motor up, and fly to the next place. Well, when I got a bass boat, you do tend to do that. Like, I think anybody, to be honest, I do think that if you're going to start bass fishing, start on a kayak first. Because I feel like you learn the technique, the skill, and how to identify structure and areas better because you have that physical limitation. You have to, is it worth expending the effort to go all the way over there? Or should I fish that tree right here? Should I fish that dock right here? Should I just float out a little deeper and fish deeper rather than spending the 40 minutes to pedal to the other side of the lake? So I think you do, in my opinion, you get an advantage mentally by starting with a kayak because you start to learn how to break down something. Because I'll tell you, I've gone right behind guys in bass boats. I've literally come right in, had a guy fish a lay down, throw some baits at it, and he bails. I come right in. I'm there for 20 minutes, but I pulled 5-pounders, 4-pounders, pulled, even if you're not pulling big ones, I pulled 7 fish off a tree that the guy in the bass boat just abandoned because I'm willing to take the time to hit every limb, to cast to the front, the back, the side with a dock. I don't know how many times, I don't know if you've experienced this, but like for me, it's like sometimes it's stupid. Like you'll cast to a dock, you cast under the dock, you cast next to the dock, but then you'll cast to the third post and there's a fish there. Like you can hit that dock 6 times and not catch nothing, and then all of a sudden that one specific spot, that fish was there.
And I think Brian Latimer does this in one of his videos on his channel. I don't know where it was at. I popped up on YouTube one day and I watched it. And he fishes Lake Hartwell a lot because it's his home lake, but there's a lot of docks on that lake. And he was showing the proper way to fish docks.
Yep.
And most of the time, if you catch, like you were saying, if you catch a fish on a third post, guess what? The next dock, he's going to be on the third post from the outside or the inside.
It's weird. It's so stupid specific. Like the other thing I've noticed is like sometimes it's the shape. So sometimes it's those docks that are like in a U. They're in the middle of the U. But they won't be on any other post. They won't be on any other style of dock. The other thing I've noticed too, same kind of concept, is those like rafts. The ones with the black floats seem to catch more fish than the ones with like the lighter colored floats. The ones that have like the black barrels on them instead of I think it's just because they're hot. Maybe they draw more heat and they put heat in the water. But I've noticed the ones with the black pontoons on them, I catch more fish on than I do. Like we have like people have like blue ones. To be honest, we're a redneck state, so we've got guys with 55-gallon drums that are lashed to the bottom of a picnic table too. But it's weird, like those little patterns, and that's the kind of stuff. Kind of staying on the point of the pedal versus paddle. That's the kind of stuff where Daniel can figure that out and go, okay, so it's always the third post on the dock. I'm going to go up this shoreline and I'm going to hit every dock that's got black posts, the third post. You can run up that shoreline a hell of a lot faster than I can pedaling.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's where you get that advantage. And like I said, the spot lock thing's a whole nother game. When you got that spot lock, I don't even know if it's really an advantage because I've seen a lot of guys with spot lock that if they don't have that heading sensor, the kayak's is freaking spinning around.
Yeah, and with spot lock, spot lock really doesn't help you in shallow water as much as it in deep water on structure or points or ledges.
Yep.
Where fish, if you're fishing points on a lake and you catch a 3-pounder or a 20-incher
Yep.
on a point, and then you're blown off that point, then you got to refigure out, okay, where was I sitting at? So with the spot lock, you can just measure him, get the fish back, and cast again.
Yeah, I have a redneck version of that. I have a 8-pound mushroom anchor on an anchor trolley, and I have it right behind my seat. So when I catch a fish, I just go like this, and it just falls off and catches me, and then I just let that be my spot lock. But yeah, that's usually an advantage for sure.
Usually, if I'm fishing a point or something, I'm always looking electronics. I'm video fishing.
See, I try,
so
but I suck.
So
I suck so much at looking around.
So I'll mash my waypoint. It'll lock it, so I can position. If I get blown off of it, I can position my kayak back up on that waypoint, and I knew exactly where I casted. So,
yep. Yeah, dude. I that's one skill set I don't have is I suck at marking waypoints, and I suck at really identifying fish when I'm deep. I'm mostly using my electronics to give me depth and like contour.
Yeah, he said I think people up north fishing crappies and walleyes can benefit from spot lock down here. And spot locking crappie. If you're catching crappie, yeah, it's if you're catching crappie or a walleye, I've never walleye fished, so I don't know how to walleye fish. So
walleye fish is a lot of trolling unless you're jigging for them.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. What's up, Andrew?
I will say, actually, that's another point with the trolling motor, though, too, is trolling is an advantage. If you're looking to catch, like, walleye, salmon, trout, and you're doing, like, a trolling technique.
Yeah.
I've done it with the pedal drive, but I'm freaking soaked in sweat and tired at the end of the day because you're constantly having to, like, constantly pedal.
Yeah.
But I don't think, like, in my personal opinion, and maybe it's just my own ego, but, like, there isn't the one thing I will say is that at the end of the day, I got my kayak out of the water and I'm picked up a hell of a lot faster than those guys with the trolling motors too. Because you kind of got to disassemble that whole freaking thing before, because especially guys that are throwing the back of their truck, man, they've got to take the battery out, unhook the battery, take the motor off, load the kayak. Like that's a lot of extra packing.
So I've ran the battery in the back, trolling motor up front. So I got these quick disconnects. So I can just plug it in, and but still, got to pull the pin out the trolling motor, lift the trolling motor off, put the pin back in, take it to the truck, take the battery out, take the crate out, take your fishing poles out. So, but
gotta make your podcast debut again every time.
So
no, it's so much extra work. See, that's where for me is like, that's actually a valid question too. So yes and no. So the reason I say no is because
let me read the question, Mike, so the Spotify people can understand what's being asked. It says Bass Patrol Nation asks, do you find yourself getting tired towards the end of tournaments, not being able to concentrate on fishing? And go ahead, Mike, and answer the question.
The obvious answer is yes. You're definitely more tired not having a motor, but it also, for me mentally, it keeps me from spinning out and doing the bass boat style fishing where I'm jumping from spot to spot. So a lot of the times what I do for a tournament is I will start to position myself closer to the ramp by the end of the tournament. I start working my way back slowly so that when I'm at the end of the tournament, I'm already in the ramp. Usually there's like maybe not everywhere because I mostly fish in Vermont, but a lot of places that I fish and a lot of places I fished in other states, like there's usually like a bay. Like usually when they put a boat ramp in, it's usually in a bay or a corner or a pocket. That's where I end my day. So for me, I've already kind of worked my way back, but that is a very good point of advantage for a guy with a motor, because the guy with the motor can stay out longer before he has to motor back. Because some tournaments you have to be on the ramp at a certain time or you're DQ'd. You can't be out on the water after a certain time. Like some guys are really lenient. Some guys are like, you need to meet at 3 o'clock. And if you're not at the ramp at 3 o'clock, in some of these Roadrunner tournaments, you not only got to meet at 4 o'clock, but you've got to meet at a different boat ramp at 4 o'clock. So you've got to get out and go. So
Yeah.
you have an advantage as a motor guy. You can, but again, in a way, not necessarily, because like Daniel said, he can only go 3 miles an hour. That's about how fast I can pedal. So it's not going any faster than I am. He's just not exerting energy to get back and forth.
Right. And, and versus equipment versus, you got a pedal system and you got a motorized system in your kayak. So either one of them systems can mess up at any point during the day. And then guess what? You're back to paddling that thing.
Yep.
And sometimes, like you said, Mike, is at the end of the tournament, I'm finding my way back to the ramp probably. So if that, I've always keep that in back of my mind about having mechanical issues.
Yep.
Is I don't have to paddle as far,
Yep.
because I ain't gonna paddle no 10 miles. I'll go ahead and tell you that.
No. Nope. No, I'll tell you that if I ever put a motor on my kayak, I'm still gonna have a pedal drive.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy a pedal drive kayak and put a motor on it, because for the most part, I can use my pedals like a spot lock. I can hold myself in a wind.
Yeah.
I can hold myself along the bank. I've gotten good enough with a kayak that I can position myself and keep myself locked in position with just the pedal. So I don't need to use my battery. But I would like to have a motor to get to and from the spot and then pedal around in that area and then zip to the. It's similar to like a bass boat. You use your big motor to get you to the spot, flip that trolling motor down to get you around in that area, and then flip that up and use the big motor to go. It's the same concept.
So given a good concept is Greg Blanchard. If you're watching any of his videos, he's always motoring to the place, but he's got a pedal kayak. So he cuts his motor off and pedals to fish.
In my opinion, the pedals don't. I don't know why. You would think it would be the same, but the pedals don't seem to freak out the fish as much as the motor does.
No, they don't.
They really don't.
And with the Hobie kick fins, they're kicking sideways.
Those don't make nearly as much motion either. Yeah.
No, and they've come up with some good stuff. Hobie has with the 360s and kick up fins and all that. So, but yeah, it's just it's just whatever you can afford at the time to get yourself out there fishing is what, if you talk to any kayak fisherman, is they're not jumping right into a Hobie, or not unless you just got deep pockets.
No, most guys are starting with, sit in, paddling around, and then they decide they're going to move up to a pedal drive. And the thing is, you got to remember weight too, guys. If it's real nasty weather and you're adding a 50-pound battery and a 30-pound motor on top of your gear in your body, it may not be worth it, because you're going to be sitting that much deeper in the water. You're going to be less maneuverable, and you have to drag that thing out of the water at the end of the day. Like, there is definitely, like I said, if I get my new kayak, like eventually my goal is to try to get a new kayak next year. Don't know financially if it's in the cards, because I also don't have a spot lock on my bass boat, and I would rather have a spot lock on my bass boat than a new kayak. So I will probably end up putting a motor on it, but at the same time, to be honest, when I'm fun fishing, I probably won't have the motor on it. It'll probably only be for tournament fishing and competitive fishing, or if I'm limited on time for that day. If I've only got 4 hours to fish, then I'll use the motor to get me back and forth.
Yeah, and so I have to give out shout outs to my wife, Christina. She's the one that got the motor for me, by the way, for Christmas. So
nice.
Yeah. So but it gives you an opportunity to fish larger bodies of water as well. Yep. So you're just not stuck to one cove in a lake, or when I went to Lake Hartwell to fish that Brian Latimer championship, I started off in a cove, but I shot across the lake and fished a marina, and then fished a couple more points down the lake and all that. But you find yourself, we're talking about pedaling and motorizing, is okay. You've got an hour left in a tournament. I've got a motor on my kayak. I'm only got 4 fish on the board. I need a 5th fish to get in the top 5, right? So you're burning and running just like in a bass boat. So, and you kind of have to keep that in mentality world, in the kayak world is, okay, can I find that 5th fish somewhere local that my truck's parked right at that ramp? I need to, I don't need to try to load my stuff up and go to another ramp, try to catch a 5th fish with an hour to go in the tournament.
It's always that 5th fish, isn't it? It's always that 5th fish or that one kicker every time you get to an end of a tournament and you're like, I just need 1 17-inch bass, or I just need that final fish to fill out a limit, and that's going to be the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah. So Discover Bass Adventure says motors hand down. I do like to pedal with my PA 360 to get those micro adjustments for casting. Certainly, it'll get you pinpoint better.
Yep. The problem I have with that whole Hobie system is the reverse thing, because I back pedal every time I hook set, and having to actually pull a lever.
Yeah, you have to pull it.
Having to physically move down. I don't think I'm not coordinated enough to reach down to my toe to pull the lever or something. Like I don't think I'm just so used to pedaling backwards. As soon as one of my buddies mentioned it, like literally, I'll back pedal when I set the hook. Like I don't even know I'm doing it. Instinctually, my feet automatically go to my pedals when I feel a bite, and as I set the hook, I back pedal. It's just completely instinctual. So if I couldn't do that, I don't know if I would want it.
So the problem I have is I'll kick that motor on low sometimes, and if I'm fishing a crankbait or like topwater buzz bait, I'm trying to just move a little bit up shoreline.
Yep.
And when you hook a fish, I've got fish down there now to cut off the motor and reel fish. So it's if you had pedals, and pedals are easy because I've seen a lot of guys do it, is kick it, pedal in reverse while you set the hook. Or
and that's how, honestly, there's been a lot of times where, especially when you're fishing grass, when you're fishing mats, things like that, when you hook a fish in the mats, because that fish has got actually just as much leverage as you do when you're in a kayak. When you set that hook like a jig hook set, you're going towards that mat. Whereas if you have pedals, you can kind of give it a couple pumps backwards and you're not shooting into that mat like a rocket.
Yeah.
And that's where, I don't think other than that, honestly, the Hobie system, other than that, I would love it, because one of my favorite things to do is parallel bank. And that Hobie system, you just flip them flippers and you're just going down the shoreline.
That's right.
That would be freaking awesome. But not being able to go in reverse whenever I want I don't know if I would like it.
Yeah. So Discover Bass Adventure says it's always the first fish for him, not the 5th fish.
Hey,
the first and the 5th is the hardest to catch.
Yep.
Because you've got to find them. You've got to find them first in order to catch that first one.
Yeah. Lines in at 6 a.m. and you're looking at 10 o'clock and you still don't have that first fish on the board and you're starting to spin out. Yeah. Been there.
It's rough. Been there, done that a lot.
That's actually, honestly, that would be a good topic for a future podcast too, is like the kayak tournament mentality. Like there's so much you don't realize it. Like when you're fun fishing, you're just fishing. You're like, they're not biting. I'll go over here, and they're not biting. But when you fish on a time limit, like I actually challenge anyone. I did this to myself before I started doing live tournaments because I knew a little bit about competition. But like, take an alarm and set an alarm. Give yourself 5 hours, 4 hours. Measure your 5 fish like you're competing in a tournament, and just see how it feels, because you'll understand why some guys get so stressed out in tournaments, because when you have a limited amount of time to try to catch the 5 biggest fish you possibly can, it completely screws with your head. Like you make these decisions, you have to think faster, you have to force yourself to do it, and it's a different mentality.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. But yeah, it's just me coming from a bass boat world into a kayak world. It's not like dropping that V6 in the water and
Yep.
gearing down on it, and then pop that trolling motor down, like you said, make a couple casts. Oh, nope, they're not here. Another spot.
Dude, it baffled me until I started fishing tournaments and until I had the boat. Once I had the boat and I was like, oh man, they're not biting in 8 feet of water. Let's go out to 20. And it's like, oh, 20 is over there. When you're in a kayak and you're like, oh, 20 feet is 150-yard pedal into the wind. Maybe I'll fish this tree a little longer.
That's right.
It's a little different mentality. But yeah, once you start doing a tournament, you got to catch that one fish. And sometimes, to be honest, it's burned me too, because I've been like, okay, I'm getting all cookie cutter fish here. I need to do something different. I'm going to go fish docks over there. And then eventually I come back to the area I was catching those cookie cutters, and there's that 17 I was looking for. Like sometimes you burn yourself and you leave fish to find fish too, but that's actually why it would be a great topic, because there's just so many different intricacies to like your mentality when you're competing, that just every little thing you have to process this data faster.
Yeah. So Jason's got a question or a comment. Says the only downside to a bow mount is that it has no kick up feature like a stern mount for rivers and etc. Certainly, if you're going up river and you hit a log, that thing gonna stop you dead track and you're gonna go overboard. The pulses far outweigh that. Pinpoint anchor standing up while motoring or steering 5.5 miles an hour. So that's one versus a bow mount on an XI3 versus a Torpedo.
Yep.
Or a Newport. So
I ran into a rock on Saturday with my pedal drive. It happens regardless.
Yeah.
Dude, I like literally was like, boom, like face down on my pedal drive because I didn't see this rock. I didn't know how shallow I was because the wind was blowing. I couldn't see into the water. Yeah. And I went from 3 feet of water to 1.5 feet to 6 inches and went boom right into that rock and smoked it. So I couldn't imagine doing that at 5 miles an hour because I wasn't going that fast, dude. I've heard stories. I've had buddies that have XI3s that do that are like standing and just using their trolling motor to get around. And then, the next thing they know, they're hugging their trolling motor because they ended up getting launched into the front of their kayak.
Yeah, I've done this with my trolling motor. I've got a remote on it, so I've had that thing kick. Last mode was kicked up on high because I was going across the lake, and then I go to stand up. I'm standing up and I kick it on. And that thing's like,
yep.
You're like,
yep. Yeah, I can imagine with a kayak too. Like it's got to be like instant power because those trolling motors are really made for a boat. So they're pushing hard when they kick off.
Yeah. Bass Patrol Nation says that's the reason why you don't think it's hard for him to fish kayak tournaments because he's been in a bass boat tour for like 10 years.
Yep.
Speaking of that, look at Ike McAnally. He got into the kayak scene, won a couple. So coming back, coming from a bass boat world to a kayak world to a bass boat world, I don't think there's not a whole lot of difference. It's just the mentality that you have to break down the body of water.
Yep.
A little smaller. In a kayak than you do a boat. And I study, I go on Google Earth all the time, look at bodies of water, because on Google Earth, you can actually go back. There's a little bar up there that you can go back and search. Okay. In 1999, the water was down so low that you could see some of the ledges and things. And so
Navionics is another app. If you guys don't use it, the Navionics app, and then you have the website too.
Yep.
You can literally go and see that. What's nice about it is because I don't have my fish finder doesn't have graphing. It builds its own, but it doesn't have like a chip card. You can't throw chips in it.
Yeah.
So I use Navionics on my phone, and a lot of times I'll screw around on my lunch break and I'll look at lakes and I'll mark waypoints on my phone. And then when I'm on the body of water, because you sometimes think where that contour is looking at the map, but when you're on the water, it's really hard to find that little place where that ledge is.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as you think. You're like, oh, it's right here off of this point. It's directly at an angle, and you out there and you're like, I can't find this freaking thing. So I mark it on Navionics and then I find it with my kayak. But you'd be surprised, guys. Like a lot of the tournaments I fished Massachusetts last year or this year. I didn't fish, and like 2 or 3 of the bodies of water out of the 6, I didn't pre-fish. I just went down there with electronics, and I had a pretty good idea how the lake made out simply from looking at Google Earth. You can see the other thing about that time of year sliders, you can see like, okay, if I'm fishing in August, I can go look at August, how much vegetation's on this lake. Does this thing get matted up or does this thing stay fairly clean? You can see that if you use those sliders. You can kind of see the crap on the surface with that Google Earth. So
yeah. So Jason says he stays seated on the rivers. I do too, Jason. When I'm fishing the rivers, I stay seated. It's just so many logs and everything in these rivers down here that that get washed down, and heck, you might see a car in these rivers down here.
I've stood twice in my kayak since owning it. That's it. I don't have the coordination, and there's too much gravity right here.
Yeah.
I lean one way or the other, and and it's not even, the funny part is it's a financial concern. It's not about I'm worried about getting in the water. I'm a strong swimmer. I know I can get myself back in my kayak. I know how to do it properly. It's how many rods am I going to lose, or how many bait bags are going to end up in the lake that I'm going to have to chase down and hope that they don't sink in between me trying to get back in my kayak that I'm concerned about. Because I don't have a black pack where it has the click-ins for the reels. My reels are just sitting in PVC. So if I tip my kayak over, there's $1,000 worth of lose heading to the bottom of the lake, and it's just not worth it.
So Discover Bass Adventure saw a first-time motor guide user going full speed and hit spot lock. Jerk you right out the kayak. I bet it will.
I bet it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then Bass Patrol Nation says, I guess he's referring to my kayak is basically set up like a small bass boat. I guess you could say it. The only thing I don't have is a gasoline motor on the back.
You get real creative with kayaks. Like the thing about the limited space is that you get real creative on, to be honest, I carry 8 rods. Like I'm not that limited. Like I have 8 rods. I usually have 6 3700 sorter boxes. I've got a big tackle bag behind my seat with 4 full-size bait binders. Like you get really creative on storage. I actually have under my seat, my dad had a wetsuit that he blew out the crotch in, and we cut the material up, and I made like a sling that goes under my seat so that I can stuff stuff under my seat, and it keeps it from getting into the water in the bottom of my kayak. Like you get real crafty with. So when you talk about mini bass boat, I mean, to be honest, I've been next to guys in $50,000, Phoenixes and stuff like that, $100,000 bass boats that I'm like, yeah, I'm catching them on paddle tails, green pumpkin. And they're like, oh, I don't have any of those. And I'm like, dude, how do you not have the baits that I have in my kayak in your boat? But
I couldn't even imagine throwing a cast net. Like he was saying, I throw my cast net in the sand from the kayak to get fiddler crabs here in Savannah, but been overboard more times than I count.
I was gonna say I would end up in the freaking water. Absolutely. There's a lot of dry. I mean, dude, even if you throw like a 6XD in a kayak, you can literally troll with a 6XD. You throw it out 50 yards and cast it, and you're going to you're pulling towards that bait, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Bass Patrol Nation says, that's my issue. I'm like a bull in a china shop. I'll spend more time swimming and fishing. Really, I thought I would, but because
it's amazing how stable there are.
I'm 6'3", 290, 295, somewhere around there. I will lie about my weight. Okay. I'm like a woman. I'll lie about my weight, but no, I'm around the 295 range. So, but it's just, having the motor on my kayak, I like it. I really do, and because I'm beginning to I'm converting over to a power fisherman. I used to be a finesse guy. I used to throw a lot of just fish real slow. If I find them, I'm gonna pick them apart. But now I'm like running and gunning,
Yep.
throwing a crankbait, throwing a jerk bait.
Dude, I'm becoming a hybrid between that. So I used to do the same thing. I used to live or die by the wacky rig, dude. Like
Yeah.
just shoreline, throw a wacky, pick apart a tree, move to the next tree, throw a wacky, mix in a jig, which is kind of a power technique, but still like you're still
Yeah.
staying stationary, you know? And then the longer I fish, the more I get impatient. And it's what it is, honestly. I think some people that start out fishing have an advantage over guys that have been doing it for a long time because the longer you do bass fishing, you start to get this textbook of rules in your head that the bass don't give a shit about. But you're like, oh, the wind is blowing from the north and it's cloudy and they should be biting XYZ bait because that's what they've always bit on this lake because you have this
Right.
database in your head. And then when they don't do that, it pisses you off because now you're spent out because you're like, well, now I don't know what to do. Whereas when you don't know what to do and you're just aimlessly screwing around with a crankbait when the crankbait isn't the bait that you should be using, you luck into them because at the end of the day, the bass don't give a shit what you think they're supposed to eat. If you throw a bait in front of a fish, they're going to eat it.
That's
So
right.
that's why I've kind of started to do the opposite where like I'll start out finesse. I'll definitely find spots near, and I always start near the ramp because one thing I will say, pro tip for anyone who's doing a kayak, motor or not, everybody does the same thing, and I find it freaking hilarious. They get in the ramp, they launch their boat, and they go to the other side. They never fish the area around the ramp. Everybody thinks they have to leave the ramp area. But I can tell you, there's about 6 or 7 lakes that I fish here in Vermont. There's some in Massachusetts that I've fished. I fished lakes around New England that sometimes those fish are just right there by the ramp. They're right there by the docks. They're right there by, the areas that everybody just immediately motors out and leaves. So those fish know that and they stay there. So don't necessarily run right out, power down and head to the other side of the lake. Start out fishing somewhere close. But that's what I do is I start out, I'll dink and dunk an area with a Ned rig, a wacky rig, Texas rig. I'll just kind of go around, fish the vegetation. And then from there, that's what I mean by hybrid. Then at that point, I give up because I have ADHD and I don't have the attention span to keep doing that. So then I'll start running up and down the bank with spinnerbait, crankbait, chatterbait, and try to find them. If I get hooked into a couple of fish, then I'll stop and pick that part. But I kind of go back and forth once I figure it out.
Yeah. So Discover Bass Adventure says motor equals more water, more bites, more fish. I'd say 90% of the time.
Yeah.
90% of the time. Guys with pedals, they can find fish as well. If you fish a body of water long enough, you'll figure out where they're at.
There's certain conditions I will say though that like the guys that have only ever had a motor, that they'll miss stuff. Because those guys that are going like 5-6 miles an hour, they can't read their graph. They're not paying attention to their graph. They're just looking at the next spot and they miss that ledge. They miss that offshore tree. They miss that brush pile because they're not looking. They're just hammering to the next spot. So I will say there is definitely give and take, but at the end of the day, if you take a fisherman of the exact same skill level, if you take Daniel and take away his motor and give him pedal drive, he's probably going to catch more fish with his motor because he knows the lake and he knows how to get to the next pattern, the next spot that he's going to be able to get there faster, which means he's probably going to get more fish because he's going to get to the next spot faster.
Yeah.
Before you run out of time. Because let's be honest, we all work. We all got to go to work on Monday. So when we're fishing, we have a limited amount of time to try to locate these bass. So
that's right. So Jason says 75 to 90% of ramps have a brush pile planted out in front of it that most never notice.
Yep.
100%.
Yep.
Because why? Because crappy fishermen want to fish from the bank and they want the brush pile near the bank.
Yep. Absolutely. It's a brush pile or a pallet
or a car or a boat.
Car or Christmas tree or yep.
So,
honestly, Christmas trees are some of the best crappie habitat ever, man.
Yeah. So, Mike, we've been going for about an hour, man. I've got to get off to work in the morning real early, but I'm getting off because my son's getting married tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow night.
Nice.
So I just wanted to kind of mention some things before we got off.
Sure.
We are putting on 4 different type kayak series for 2024. We're going on a Weekend Warriors kayak series. So what the Weekend Warrior is going to be it's going to be a 2-day event each month. So you get 2 days to fish for one specified weekend on the Weekend Warriors. Going to have a river series. Each month is going to have a month-long river series. We're doing a Kayak Nation wide series as well. That's going to have Angler of the Year points associated with it. So if you want to be a member of SEG KBF, it's a $20 membership fee. You can go to SEG.com, SEGKBF.com, and go over to tournament information, and you can pay the $20 entry fee to the membership right there. And that will have some things associated with it for the 2024 season. And also for you, Georgia, for all the Georgia boys listening out there, we'll have the Georgia Tour Kayak Series. It's going to be 4 lakes with the 5th lake championship round. So it'll be we will have 1 river in there. So we'll have the Weekend Warrior Series, the River Series, the Kayak Nation Series, and the Georgia Tour Kayak Series in 2024.
Now, I didn't ask you about this before, but are you doing a separate podcast for that, or are you going to try to just – because I say a lot of times what I like to do is like when I fish in a tournament, I like to just tell like top 5, like just rate them off just to give people some clout. And
I'm going to try to do a separate one from this one, Mike.
Okay.
Just because I want to keep kind of topics specific, specified topics to this one.
Yep. And
then I can pre-record the other one. So I won't be doing that one live.
Gotcha.
So I'll just pre-record that stuff and get it posted. That way it'll be on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter.
Yep.
Twitch,
yeah, I think I'm doing the kayak one. I'm pretty committed to doing that. Slay Nation supposedly coming to Vermont to do a live series here, but to be honest, I think I'm gonna do Your Trail. I always get that wrong. Your Trail. Dude, it's always the opposite hand. I'm gonna do Your Trail, probably the kayak one, because at the very least, I'm excited about that because they're the only thing that I have for an option here for an actual AOY, like an actual points championship, is KBF, and there's 3 dudes that fish in it because it's the KBF challenge and it's only Vermont.
Yeah.
And it's the same 3 dudes, and the same dude wins it every month. And I'm gonna just walk away, but there's some shit that shouldn't happen. I've seen some photos that look like the same damn fish 5 times in a row. So I just stopped doing it. That's actually how I started doing it, was the online monthlies, and then I couldn't do it anymore. So being able to do like an actual AOY with like a nationwide thing is awesome for me.
Yeah. So the Angler of the Year last year, we were associated with Striker brand Reigns. They sell all kind of clothing and everything. We were associated with them. Cleveland Walker won the Angler of the Year last year, so he won a $400 worth rain suit from them.
Nice.
This year we've associated with Striker brands as well, plus with the Bagley tournament program, which will allow the Angler of the Year, whoever wins it this year, it'll get a Striker rain suit and a $200 worth of Bagley.
Nice.
So 2024 is going to be the same thing. We're going to reapply for them 2 programs. Plus, we're out searching for more sponsors to give us prize packets and things. My wife has been working behind the scenes for me real well. Been putting a lot of work in for me, so I can't thank her enough for doing that.
It's a lot of work. There's a lot to all this stuff, guys. It's not an easy thing to put in. Now, you're doing these on Tourney X, or
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Tourney X will be our host. Me and Dwayne has been talking a lot lately. I think it's the better format for the stuff we do, and it's just a lot more people fishing areas where their silver's sitting so good down here and around certain areas. So Tourney X has really got where you can submit the fish to the leaderboard or to the live well, and
it will do it when it does. Yeah,
you won't lose it. So
that's cool. Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to be doing that. So be on the lookout for that, guys. For anybody who's watching this on my channel, I'm going to be doing a tournament series next year, just like I did this year. This tournament trail is going to be one of the ones that I'm going to have episodes on. If there's a live Slay Nation trail, I'll probably be doing that too. But I definitely am doing, like I said, unless financially somehow I become extremely poor between now and next year. I plan on. Now, when are you starting the kayak, the nationwide one? When is that?
The kayak nation one will start in February, run through October.
Okay.
The river series and the weekend series will start in January.
Okay.
And the Georgia tour will start in March.
Got it.
Yeah. So, but with that being said, Mike, thank you for everybody watching tonight. Make sure you go over, subscribe to our YouTube channels, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram,
TikTok. I got them all.
I have a TikTok, but I really don't pay attention to it.
I use it to advertise for the podcast. That's all I use it
so
for.
If you missed the podcast and you want to catch it, you can watch it back on Facebook. You can hit us on Spotify now. We are up on Spotify, audio only. Main Contain Fishing, just do a search on Spotify and you'll find it. So if you're heading into work one morning and want to listen to these fools rant and rave about kayak fishing,
it's a great thing to listen to while fishing, guys. Put some headphones in, listen to it while you're fishing in your kayak.
So next week, I'll go ahead and announce it, Mike. Next week, or not next week, the next podcast in 2 weeks, we're going to have Mr. Alvin from Angler Outdoors, American Angler Outdoors, on as a special guest. So he's going to discuss how everybody who likes to film their fishing can get on his format and maybe get him a show on, and he can compile things for you. But he'll be on the show in 2 weeks. So we will see y'all next time, and fish on.